What if I told you there's a man in Alpharetta, Georgia, who has never done a single podcast interview, never given a keynote, has no personal brand to speak of, and he's sitting on $1 billion real estate portfolio? He started as a database consultant in 1997, went independent right after 9/11, built an IT company that landed on the Inc. 5000 4 years in a row. Then, while running that company, he started building luxury real estate in Buckhead, Georgia. He went back for his MBA while running both. He co-founded a commercial real estate fund that crossed $1 billion in assets under management, 650 investors, 50 properties, 15 states, and 5 countries. Oh, and somewhere in there, he helped found Noor Family Services, a nonprofit serving women and children escaping domestic violence. And nobody's ever really heard of him. His name is Zia Rahman, and this is Dreams of Muslim Entrepreneurs. For someone hearing your name for the first time, who are you, what do you do, and who do you serve?
Well, that's kind of a great question, loaded up. I am part of the community, Zia Rahman. Atlanta's been home since '99. A family with 3 beautiful kids. But ingrained in me is an entrepreneurial spirit. I've been an entrepreneur since 2005, like you had said in the introduction. There are different roles I have played as an entrepreneur, but currently I'm looking to serve individuals, professionals, and I would say accredited investors who have their 9-to-5 jobs or businesses and are looking to create some kind of passive income and have that compounded over year to eventually find a financial freedom for themselves and their families. That's the key role I'm playing with Octave right now.
Got it.
As a co-founder of this private equity firm.
So I want you to take me back to 1994. You just graduated with an engineering degree from Karnataka University in India. What was the dream then, and what did you think your life was going to look like?
Honestly, Daniel, I never thought this is all was be accomplished. I had a dream. My dream, obviously, I was a very young, confident guy. Even I was not the tallest guy in my classroom, even then I was short in stature. I never lacked confidence, even being the front bencher. Though I had a mindset of a backbencher, I would say. I was always confident about whatever I do, I'll be will be successful. Be at work. When I started with DHL in technology, I was an intern. Went to set up I learned accounting. I used to train. In my first year as an intern, I learned an accounting software. I had nothing to do with accounting. I was an engineer, and I used to train a lot of corporate folks across pan-India, go and travel. And I was just 20 years old, and I used to train them in accounting software that DHL used. So I never lacked confidence. So I knew. And then as opportunities had it, I went to Singapore. But I never thought I would end up in the US because that was not a dream of mine. But as I got breaks in my career from Singapore, I came here. I moved here in actually 96, end of 96, 97. I remember very distinctly. It was a cold February Pittsburgh morning, and I landed. And all my dreams of the Hollywood that I thought of was not Pittsburgh because it was cold, dreary, and snowy. But I was in Pittsburgh. Then I moved to Arizona, where the weather was nice. And when I landed at Phoenix Airport, I said, "Now this is America, right? The Hollywood where I had like as soon as I landed in the airport, there was Holly gangs going around, and I thought this is nice." But the dream of being successful was always there. I knew whatever I did, I would be successful, but not as an entrepreneur. Not then, but along the way, I cemented my vision of what I would like to be, and had my goals set up as the life went along.
Got it. So you grew up in India. You went to St. Pius, the 10th high school, studied engineering at Karnataka University. What did your family do? Were there entrepreneurs around you growing up, or was business something that came to you on your own?
No, I come from a very middle class in Mumbai, India. My dad is a banker. He originally from actual Karnataka, the state of Karnataka. He migrated to Mumbai, then Bombay in 1957. and I still get inspired by the stories he told me. He used to work multiple jobs. He studied there his degree in commerce, and he used to work full time, and then in the evenings do part-time jobs with attorneys as paralegal. My mom was always a homemaker, so no entrepreneurial, in the family. Of course, my uncles and all have dabbled with business, but my dad was a simple guy, did a 9-to-5 job, and then as I realized that it is not that you need to be born in a family to be an entrepreneur, or do business. It's ingrained, but it also it's all in the mindset.
I 100% agree. So would you say there were specific values your family or your parents instilled in you that you carried in business and doing in business or in business decisions today as well?
See, I was a very social guy then as well, and my mom used to open the doors open in Mumbai. Mumbai is a different kind of breed of a city. Our doors used to always be open. I used to be so social. Everybody used to walk in, get into the kitchen, eat what my mom cooked. It is that kind of lifestyle. That's Mumbai. So everybody who's who in the apartment complex would be like family. They would walk in, and even though we were the only Muslim family, it never felt foreign for us. And that was Mumbai at that time when I was growing up. My dad was very humble, but my mom also taught me to be, I would say outside of the confidence she gave me, she always was the one who instilled that confidence that I was talking about. She always instilled and said that, Zia, you could do anything you want to do, because I know how you work, your brain works. So that always had instilled confidence in me. And then ethical. I mean, I think my mom and dad was very simple. They were ethical, honest, and somewhere along the way, you need those kind of ethical frameworks in business as well. So along the way, I think that is something that instilled.
Got it. So when you came to the U.S., you started as a database consultant in computer enterprises in 1997. What was the transition like? What did America look like to you in those first years? You even mentioned briefly that you landed in Phoenix, and that was Pittsburgh, and then Phoenix, right?
Pittsburgh was where I landed. I worked there for a few years. And again, I said Pittsburgh was not the kind of place I like. I mean, it was very dreary, cloudy. Sun never used to come out. And then I got an opportunity in Phoenix, which I used to be in the IT in the corporate world. So database administrator was just part of my role, but I then quickly rose up to be a consultant for Informix consulting. This is Informix is, if people in the past would remember, they were a competitor for Oracle. And they got bought over by IBM. Pretty big, solid RBMS. So when I used to be a consultant, so I did application for America West, which is now US Airways. I did for American Express. I used to be also Westinghouse. I did the whole supply chain. And that's exactly, I mean, for me, being that consultant and working in multiple domains like most of the consultants who give me an exposure. Honestly, at that point of time in my life, I never thought I would knew where I would settle. But as my destiny would have it, I was, I got a job in Atlanta. As soon as, in Atlanta when there was a merger of Verizon, a merger of GTE Wireless and Vodafone and Bell Atlantic. I don't know if you remember, Vodafone, Bell Atlantic and GTE Wireless, when they met, that's when Verizon was formed in '99. And Verizon became an overnight success. And Daniel, you'll be surprised to know, the CEO of Verizon had hired a marketing company and gave them $5 million, just a third-party marketing company, to come up with a name for this company. And they came up with Verizon. Money well spent, I guess, right? When I came to Verizon, that's when I shifted to Atlanta. And that is its own story, and that's where the interesting part starts.
All right, we'll get into it in a little bit. In late 2001, eventually you leave Computer Enterprises. Was this part of Informix, or is that a separate company altogether?
No, it was part of Informix.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. They used to consult
and
Informix.
Essentially, you went independent as a solutions architect and a business consultant shortly after 9/11, right? And when the economy is in free fall in 2001, and frankly, being a Muslim and South Asian named in America, I mean, everything just got harder, right? So what was going through your mind at the time? were you I guess cautious? What were your thoughts that were prevalent in the mind during that time?
So that is an interesting phase in my life. I continued to be in Verizon at that point of time, and as destiny would have it, I had the control of building the whole supply chain for entire Verizon. Verizon became an overnight success. There were 800 stores that popped up. There were 3 physical warehouses they had to consolidate. So me and a guy called Scotty, he's from Texas, we built the entire supply chain, inventory management, warehouse management, all of that stuff. And being an independent consultant, in fact, that stint was where I joined Verizon in between. With all the accolades I got, I joined Verizon because Verizon wanted me. And then this was very quick. In 2004, while 4-5 years at Verizon as independent consultant and then joining them, within like 2004, when we had all the accolades to build out the system, and one fine afternoon when I come back from lunch, the HR comes over to me and hands me a slip saying, giving me the termination letter. That's happened in 2004 summer. And
wow.
Yeah. And that actually is that is a blessing in disguise. That became a blessing in disguise for me. In fact, alhamdulillah, I called my wife, and I had my son was only 1 year old, Rayan. He was born 2003, and I told my wife that I am gonna not be working for anybody anymore, okay? Because I know my path. I will set up my so. When she was kind of freaking out because she still liked the fact that you have a salaried employee, you get your 9 to 5, do a 9 to 5 and get and we had a 1 year old son.
Yeah.
But I knew that this is not a cup of tea. I would not work for them. So I set up my own company at that point of time, and I started doing staffing with some of the key customers that I had made contact with. In fact, the one customer that I still remember, CDC, Center for Disease Control. I went there as a business consultant. And then they had these agents. If you remember in those days, there was a lot of anthrax and
yes.
some of those...
Especially post
9/11.
Yeah,
You're
post
talking about that, right?
Yeah.
It's around 2004. There were a lot of agents used to go in the field to collect data manually on different fields of what would happen in an encounter and an incident. They come back and they would whatever they manually scribble back in the Q&A, they would type it up in Excel and send it across to an admin, and that whole process would take them a month to analyze and and put it together to the admins, right? So I kind of, as a business consultant, when I talk to them, I asked them, hey, listen, what exactly are you asking in the field? And they gave me all these questions. I got this most common denominator questions. I used to be a little bit of technical guy still. There used to be Windows compact HP phones and Palm Pilots. I said, let me program this. And so I created a Q&A for them, which they would go then in a readable form. They would go to the field, get those answers scribbled into the mobile.
So it would be digitally recorded at that time?
And handheld devices.
Wow.
And they come back, they put it on the cradle, and that would sync into the server, and the report that would take 30 days would come out overnight. So when that value I created for them, they said, Zia, we need some more solutions like this, and that's the reason I said, well, I can do that. I can bring some more people, and I initially started getting folks in staffing in .NET Compact Framework.
Got it. So when you say staffing, you're doing like staff augmentation?
Staff augmentation.
And describe to the audience what exactly is that, because most people may not know what that is.
Well, staff augmentation is purely a staffing model where companies are looking for more resources in specialized roles. And as a staffing supply vendor, you would supply them certain niche roles, and you bill them by an hour. And that's what, and the staffing team works, and the team and the consultants work for you as a company. So that was my company. That's when I formed the initial Cirrus. My Cirrus Labs, the genesis for Cirrus Labs is from there. Wow. Excuse me.
No worries, no worries. So during that time, like in 2001 time frame, 2001 to 2004, did your identity as a Muslim or immigrant shape how clients perceived you in those early independent years, would you say?
Honestly, I didn't get any I don't feel that I had received any kind of backlash or didn't feel anything. In fact, one of my gigs was in New York in 2005, and I was doing business consulting again under my company to. It's an ultra-Orthodox Jewish company called B&H. You look at them up, okay? They're the biggest supplier of photography.
Product, yeah.
So I did the whole supply chain as well. I was the only guy when I entered who did not have a yarmulke and the whole dress. I was the only normal guy. I worked with 600 ultra-Orthodox Jewish folks in the smack in the middle of Manhattan for 1 year. Yeah. And that's a different story at some other time, the commonality between the two of us. But yeah, at that point I used to go for my prayers. They had no problem. They are small. They had their own cafeteria where they used to pray, but I had my own stuff I could pray. I used to go to a church to pray Jummah because the closest one was a church basement. And this is the beauty of US and New York. There was a big, huge basement of this church where we used to all go for Jummah, and the lines would come out like Mumbai. And I remember even praying in a snowy day on the streets of that church.
What an experience!
Yeah, so that shaped me. It shaped me well to understand that it is not about the bigoted opinions everybody has. But I'm sure there were issues. There were issues, obviously, nothing like that. But nothing that I faced off, and I did kept my identity the way I am.
So in 2006, I remember reading somewhere that, Cirrus Labs, before it was Cirrus Labs, it was called Infotech Prism.
That's correct.
And eventually you incorporated Infotech Prism in 2006. And I guess the question that comes here is like, what pushed you from being a successful independent consultant to saying, you need to build a company? Like, you mentioned briefly that you used some of the clients that you had received from Verizon to get into the CDC, and you started the staffing model itself. But that shift is what I'm more focused on. Like, how did that shift come about? Because usually, any person who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, they're like, okay, how do I get recurring clients?
Yeah.
Right? So then that way the business can be stable, and then I can start marketing efforts. I can then add on this next tier of things and this next tier of things.
Yeah, I know. For anything to scale, you need a structure. I quickly realized that I could not be. I need an LLC to form a corporation. And within the corporation, I knew that I was good at selling, right? I technically I was okay, I was doing well, but I knew my bigger, trait of expanding or scaling businesses because I could sell. I could go give solutions because I was giving more of a solution architecture than just being hands-on coder. Excuse me. So for us, for any business for that matter, if you are a founder, you spend your time mostly the max amount of hours in what you do best, which is what I did best in going meeting clients, doing hunting, opening accounts. But of course, the back office has to be there as well, right? So and immediately when to your point, to your question, I started, outsourcing all of that to third party. From day one, I had a CPA taking care of my billing. I didn't go reinvent this wheel and said, I'm going to hire a company. I just gave it to a third party. All my payrolls for all the employees that started, the first 4, 5, 10, all were outsourced. And, because you can only have so much limited time as an entrepreneur, you spend your time doing what you do best. You get the maximum bang for the buck when you do what you do best. And everything was outsourced. So I set up a structure of an LLC. I was only selling, but everything was outsourced, including some of my all my back office work.
So essentially, you actually had efficiencies already from day one because you had a pre-existing team that was externally hired, obviously, to manage and maintain the back office ultimately, which allowed you to then go sell and sell and sell and sell.
Because that people get bogged down in thinking of a company and trying to set up every aspect of the company, but sometimes that's one thing that mistake I didn't do. I knew my 24 hours, which was not enough at that point of time, was all spent on business development.
Got it. So what I find really fascinating also is that while you're scaling this company, Cirrus Labs is just started, or Infotech Prism, I should say.
Yeah.
When did the name change happen?
That's a great question. Nobody's asked me that question. But Infotech Prism was the connotation of is more of a staffing company. But back in its early days, when cloud was still in its nascency and people were not too familiar with what cloud is, Amazon Cloud, as it came up, I realized that, you see, and every business has to evolve. Every business has to pivot to what the times are.
Yeah.
I knew that the cloud transformation would be huge, and this is early adoption. Okay,
It's still huge.
it is huge, but still, I'm saying that I'm talking right around the 2009, 2010, maybe 2011 time frame. I knew that I had to pivot to this cloud because that completely made sense. So initially, when Infotech Prism would do outside of staffing, do BPM technology solutions like business process management solutions. So I partnered with IBM, Pega, and grew that side of the business. By early 2011, because I knew that we were going to be a cloud consulting company, a cloud first company. I knew the shift of the name, the branding had to be rebranded. So it is all about a rebranding. So Cirrus is the highest cloud in the stratosphere, right? If you know.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I shifted and rebranded the company to know everybody to know that it's a cloud company, a cloud consulting, and that's why the Cirrus Labs is.
That makes sense. I wasn't connecting the dot there because, like, you have your cumulonimbus clouds, and then you have your
Cirrus.
other kinds of clouds that exist. I didn't realize Cirrus was the top one.
Highest in the stratosphere.
Oh, interesting. And that's why you called it Cirrus Labs.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So while you were scaling this company, you were also building luxury homes in Buckhead through Infotech Prism Properties. I guess that was another corporation that was set up as well.
I want to maybe take a step back and tell you how that was building and construction was just a secondary part of my overall real estate business. It just happened. And there's a genesis for how I formed Octave as well, okay? So in 2012, I turned 40. That year, on a personal level, two of my closest friends, one of them passed away in a bike accident. He passed away, and then another friend of mine here passed away because of cancer. Both were around my age. They left behind beautiful family. My friend in Mumbai, who's on the back, and this is a friend that is the closest friend, like a soulmate, right? He left behind a 1-year and a 5-year-old, and had nothing left back for his family.
Wow.
He was a VP of JP Morgan Chase, but when he died in a bike accident, he left zero savings back for his family. His wife used to work, Lucille, and then, but the only thing that saved a little bit of them from falling off the cliff is he had an insurance claim that can help him. But of course, we all pitched in. But that rattled me a little bit in the sense, because I realized how life is fragile. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take away your life, your business. This is all in a moment, in a jiffy, right?
Yeah.
This is some of things are not in our control.
Yeah.
So for me at that point of time, when I was growing Cirrus Labs, I realized that, see, as you grow a company, especially in a technology company, cash flow becomes a biggest hurdle that you have to overcome. So when you grow, you need more cash flow to come in because you have more people coming in to be paid. If you don't do well, your cash flow depletes fast and you're in trouble. For me, that cycle from 2005 to 2012, the growth of the company was there, but I personally realized that I never took money from my own savings. So my bank balance was not that much. I had the company growing. I had those own challenges, but I felt that I don't want to leave my family in that situation if something like that ever happened to me. So that changed my shift in my perspective. Said, okay, what can I do to maybe be in a situation where if something happens to me, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away anything from me and my family, from my family, there is a nest egg. So so that's how I started creating a passive income generating, a monthly recurring, cash paying dividend real estate, which is the only, of all the assets I kind of explored, I thought this one is the best asset to generate that passive income and create a nest egg. So I had my own target in a month, that this is how my nest egg should be, so that I had my house paid off, and then I had my nest egg that I would have a monthly recurring income, so that kind of supplements and helps support my family if something happens to me. That was the genesis of Octave. Now, Buckhead project, it is said, is part of this whole Octave ecosystem. Because during that time, there were a lot of banks disposing some of these lots.
Yeah.
One of an Iranian builder came to me and said, Zia, why don't we build some projects together? So I've kind of shifted my assets into real estate, and I started helping fund that project.
Okay. So these properties, were they like bank REOs?
Some of the not all the grocery, the retail centers, commercial returns. This is mostly the land land banking that I did to do future businesses.
So land banking, for the audience, is basically when you buy land and you just let it sit there. Is that correct in my understanding?
It is accumulating land to create value into the land in the future.
But isn't it also with the presumption that in the future that maybe there will be urban sprawl, which then leads to that property value then increasing, and therefore you can turn around, flip it, sell it, or build on it? Okay.
And I can tell you something more once, if you
feel free,
so that the audience understands it. Real estate comes in different philosophies. Land banking is a different kind of philosophy to in real estate. I'm more now inclined towards my income generating commercial real estate. That's what I do more, because I feel that while that is a little speculative, because you're speculating that the urban sprawl will come and touch that, and of course it's not a bad philosophy. People do that all the time in India, Pakistan. They do a lot, right? In Octave, what we do of buying commercial real estate that generates income the next day after you close it, I feel is more of an investment strategy, with correctly underwritten, can get you better yield. And there's math behind it, and I can tell you enough that this is a better way to invest in real estate versus do just land banking. But again, everybody has their own. But I do have a certain data that I can, if people want to come and talk to me, I can show why this is a better way of generating appreciation.
So then, while you're building up Cirrus Labs, any excess capital that you may have, you're then using to buy real estate? Is that how that's functioning?
That's exactly how it happened. And in fact, and again, if you want to dwell into Octave a little bit, I can tell you that as well, how that happened.
We can get into it in the next question, because that'll go into more detail then. But while you were doing this, did people around you think you were crazy? Were they supportive? How was the mental attitude towards what you were trying to do?
I don't know, I'm trying to recollect how the journey was. I did it on my own initially, and I found success in real estate as well. I hired the right kind of third-party professionals to kind of help me do the underwriting, and again, real estate was kind of new to me because it's commercial real estate. How to do inspections of that, how to get to the roof and do inspections, how to do the plumbing, how to do the mechanical, all the stuff I learned. Supportive. I think my wife kind of was thinking about, aren't you stretching a little bit, like you're doing commercial real estate and this thing? But she finally turned around and came around. But there were some friends and family, I would say, who then joined me, because it became like a syndicate. When I started investing, they said, Zia, we want to join you. So I kind of created a syndicate. and people invested together cash to buy this. So that was I had a support from friends and families at that time.
Got it. And a syndicate is basically when people come together without any sort of formal structure, correct? Or an LLC is still formed, but they're listed on the LLC as part owners, and their shares are then divvied up based off of how much they put in?
Correct. That's what I formed. I always formed an LLC because in the end you need to be contractually obligated how you do that. So even though I was taking a lead on that, we formed an LLC and like a small syndicate. Put all the.
It just makes it cleaner.
Yeah, it
right?
makes it cleaner.
In 2017, you and Sridhar Marupudi co-found Octave Holdings. Right?
Yeah.
You already had a thriving tech company, Cirrus Labs, and then you also have this real estate experience or development experience, buying real estate, land banking, a mixture of things. What specific gap in the market did you see or make you think that you need to build an investment platform like Octave?
Yeah. Great question. I'll have to take you a little back behind in the journey where I might cross paths with Sri. So I started buying small commercial real estate, and Sri was also doing the same with his network. We crossed paths in 2012, 2013 timeframe. And when I met Sri, we both met, it was an event, I'm trying to recollect. But anyways, when we met, we both had the same philosophy and the same mindset. And when I say philosophy, it was very important. We all started for our family. He started this for his family. Then his friends and family joined him in buying his side of real estate that he bought earlier on his own. And we said, Zia, it kind of makes sense. You have the same mindset of, being conservative in your, how we acquire. Because one of the core tenet, I call it, in our investment thesis is capital preservation. We never want to lose our capital, so we always underwrite a very conservative. So he had the same mindset, and we always look for this appreciation, which I'll come to that. So we said our mindset are like, so we joined hands and said we'll do it together. So before Octave formed, we met each other, and we started buying bigger properties together. So we bought from smaller 6,000, 5,000 square feet commercial shops. We started buying 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 square feet retail centers together. Again, forming an LLC. And we started buying together. And there are some legacy properties that I still have. They're very near and dear to us. We love it when we see it because that's how we started it. Okay. But in 2017, Sridhar said this, for us to really scale, we can make this happen because we had friends and family coming in. All right. I'll quit my job. He was working for a sustainability company in the sustainability space, and let's go full time and form an Octave private equity structure. So we brought in the private equity guys, like the attorneys, the acquisition team, the leasing team, the property management team, and the reason for that, Danielle, is only then can I get an institutional grade commercial real estate. There is a difference between a strip mall that you see, that is nearby. Not every retail is the same. It's not a strip mall that is a smaller strip mall has a lot of churn. It doesn't have the same, I would say, stability that I have an institutional grade grocery anchored centers. So to create that, we created Octave so that we get access to institutional grade real estate. And also, we wanted more folks, more friends and family come in and have an access to that through our platform.
Got it. So when you said making a fund or establishing Octave itself, it was set up as a 506c regulated fund.
506b initially,
So then that way you could go to investors and say, hey, we are an institutional grade investment platform. We're investing in commercial real estate in XYZ sectors, and you could easily pitch it then, right? And just out of curiosity, like, how long did that process take, like from start to finish, just to establish it? Because I've heard of stories where some funds get established relatively quickly, some take a really long time to get established, or their thesis is a little bit messy, some are very clean. So maybe you can walk us through that a little bit, because not a lot of people know what happens to establish a fund.
No, absolutely, great question. So we did start with 506b, and day one, like I said, our first employee was an attorney. And I told him this is the first thing we do. right? You hire the right people and you do what you do best, but you got to depend on other professionals. So we dabbled whether we should just go get all this done through a law firm, and we did. But immediately we realized, no, this can't be done, because that's when it takes time for you to do it. Our first attorney, Parth Munshi, he's our EVP legal counsel. We hired him right away. Okay, we hired the right property managers and leasing managers, Wes, Jay, all these guys, day one. We took that risk, and we didn't. I would say risk. It was we were smart enough to but we budgeted ourselves for that year that we will acquire so many properties so that we know that we could operationalize this stuff and pay all the salaries of our people. So that is very key to us, in this thing. And it took us months, even then. And parallelly, we built our own platform.
Interesting.
Our own portal, a platform to manage investor management, to do, investor reporting, to have, people subscribe. Because it takes, as you know, in a fund, you need subscription documents, PPMs, OMs, all that. How do you send it? You couldn't be sending it to people to sign, right? So it's all done through the portal. So we knew what we wanted to do. So within the 6 months, we were up and running with everything.
So in the beginning, I'm guessing most of the properties, were they all here in Atlanta, or were they in other parts of the United States?
That's a great question again. It was US, in Atlanta. It's all over US right now, but it started in Atlanta because we had access to, and again, it was deliberate because we can only, see, you have to justify why you want to buy a property from an acquisition perspective, but you have to, once you acquire a property, you got to execute it well as well. That's when you build the value of an asset. And at that point of time, we could only do Atlanta market. So we were deliberate enough to buy, and at that time, Atlanta market was not that hot as this is right now.
It is very hot.
We could buy it at, in those environments, environments, we used to buy it in 8 cap. Okay, that was a parameter. We right now have 40 parameters to how to acquire property. I'm talking retail and specific asset. And we said one of the first parameters to buy it at an 8 cap. Okay, nothing below that. And so we targeted that. We went into the third party, brokers and all those stuff to get this. Initially, we used to rely on the brokers. Now we don't rely on brokers to acquire properties. We have our own funnel coming through the leads. And we started Atlanta. And as we realized that the market became hotter and hotter in Atlanta, and the cap rates got compressed, that we were not able to get the deals at 8 cap, and they were getting richer in valuation and getting at 7, 6.5. We shifted our attention to second tier cities, third tier cities. Like we went to South Carolina, Charlotte, Columbia, South Carolina, and that's what we started buying stuff. And then at that time, we were still able to scale our teams to manage the properties in those states. And that's how it is. And the reason for that is you never change your discipline of your parameters. And just because I like a building in Atlanta, this is fancy. Sometimes the properties that we buy may not look the best, fanciest property that you look to, but the criteria for financial parameters that we need hits it. So we went a little bit north to the Midwest as well. And right now, the market that we are mostly buying kind of is in the Midwest and the area as well.
So is it because the overall market there is depressed to an extent, or is it that there's not a lot of volume? Like, what's the reasoning behind that?
It's a great question, because I think Midwest always catches up after Northeast, South, and then Midwest. So they are getting there as well. There are some great areas in Michigan that we were able to catch at the right time. Indianapolis as well. But again, it's one of the other parameters. I'm just talking a financial parameter of a cap rate, but this has to be the neighborhood store for you. There is. We look at vehicles per day. We look at from Placer.ai. We look at number of foot traffic in the store. All this matters. So I think as long as we can get the right financial parameters and we're able to manage this property, we're ready to go, except for California maybe.
So how did you and Sridhar divide the responsibilities in the business? You took on strategy from your CSO of this company, and he took on operations. Was that instinctive or negotiated between you two?
No, Sri actually was the one who first put his hat on and says, I am going to quit, okay, from my job, and I will do this full time, okay? So he became so we definitely wanted him to do that because this cannot be done part time.
100%.
Okay, so along with so Sri managed to be participating in the operations first, the acquisition, and we both were doing fundraising together. Like we both are for capital raise. Sri and I do it together equally. In terms of acquisition, we are both on the investment committee to see what properties are we investing. But from an operations perspective, from finance, legal, all that stuff, she took a lead on that. So that's how we kind of decided. But now I have shifted completely from Cirrus Labs. I'm no longer the CEO of Cirrus Labs. I don't know if you know that, but I'm more of a chairman.
You're a chairman, right?
I'm a chairman now, and my focus is on Octave as well, because strategically we have shifted a lot as well. We have some, like if you realize, I don't know if you've seen our latest fund, we are now going into medical offices as well, and we'll talk about it.
For sure. Cirrus Labs hit the Inc. 5000 in 2018. Phenomenal benchmark, right? Your first year on the list at number 396 with 263% 3-year revenue growth. Then you made it 4 years in a row.
Right.
For the entrepreneurs listening who want to understand what kind of growth, what that kind of growth actually feels like on the inside, what was the heart and the soul? Why was it so phenomenally, why was it growing so fast?
I think I had the right set of people in the executive positions that time. I had the right CRO, the right CTO, and the right CEO, that who really were solid. And then I had an M&A activity, I merged with ATB, Agile Trailblazers, around 2020, because as we started scaling some of our processes, because what happens is when you get this phenomenal growth, sometimes if you don't have the guardrails, it can really go off track.
Yeah, it can break because their processes can only handle X, Y, Z volume, and then it needs to be adjusted. So then that way can handle a larger bandwidth, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So my initial, for a certain revenue of a size of a company, right? In a company that's a certain revenue size, when it starts scaling so fast, you got to pivot and realize that you may not have the right team, because it's like horses for the courses. You might need somebody more with a little more horsepower. So I quickly realized I had my forecast. So I got ahead of my curve and got the right team from the industry. Okay, the right CTO. It was huge for us, Shibal. I had a great customer success guy, because you need a solid customer. Because I didn't have a great customer success team prior to that. As soon as I started scaling and I had big logos coming in, I knew my customer success was weak. So I had the great customer success guys, because you got to manage relationship when you have this thing. Because especially in IT, when you grow year over year, your managed revenue, that means your existing relationships, has to give you another 50% bump into the next year, and then you hunt for the remaining 50% for growth. So that's how we always did, right? So got the right customer success team, set up the right CRMs and the HRIMS processes, tools. We didn't have that exactly the way I wanted it. Sales process, sales up to engine, the sales force that was set up. I mean, not the CRM, but Salesforce, when I mean the people.
As in your people, I totally get it.
All was set up. That took us, so I think that was important. I got the right leadership. And some of them are still now, they're still with the companies. COVID kind of shifted some of them to move on, very few of them, but most of them are still with the company. And now they are the executives running the Cirrus Labs. Santosh has become the CEO. He used to be the CRO, and Shibu is the CTO. So these guys have the P&L and they take on the stuff. But it was all from bottom up. Okay, at that point of time. But again, there are much more caveats in scaling business. But those, I think, at a high level, the people and the processes. They say it's very cliche, but we had to have the right people at that time to scale.
Got it. So for 2018 to 2020, you were simultaneously running, obviously, Cirrus Labs as the CEO, co-leading Octave as the CSO, and pursuing an executive MBA.
Yeah.
So you're doing these three things all at once. That's 3 full-time commitments, plus a family. Did anything break? Did you sacrifice anything in the process to obtain the MBA? And I mean, usually something does give. So I'm just curious, did something break at that moment in time?
Wow, that was probably my most interesting phase in my life. I kid you not. Very, very vivid memories of how I,
So I mean, you're also going back and doing an MBA at like what? I think you're 46 at the time?
I was 46 at that time, yeah. And I probably had the maximum. See, when I started the MBA, and I did it with the University of Georgia, Terry Business School, great school, business school. I realized that in my cohorts, where everybody was mostly looking for a career path forward, they all, an average experience around that was 15, 16 years in the industry. Great people, some VPs of Cox, VP of Global Systems. There were some neurosurgeons also.
Wow.
Because an interesting class. But I went to do my MBA because whatever I grew until then, though conventional, may have been not exactly conventional. So I wanted to get an academia perspective of how to scale. So I wanted for that. I didn't need a career path up, okay? But I wanted, and then it was actually eye-opening.
So it was beneficial for you in many different ways, because the relationships and seeing how things are either standard or not so standard.
Yeah, I think my favorite subject was organizational behavior. So it was good. But to your question, it was hard. I think my family did support me clearly. They had sacrifices done at that point of time, but that phase is done, and I think was the most, I would say, kind of challenging, but very enjoyable phase of my life.
So in February 2026, Octave finally crossed $1 billion. Actually, no, I think it's earlier than that. It's December, right?
Last year,
December.
25.
You crossed $1 billion in assets under management, 50 plus properties, 15 states, 650 plus investors, over 4 million square feet of commercial and residential properties. When you saw that number, what did you actually feel? Because you mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast that you couldn't believe where you are today. You had no idea that Allah would take you this direction. So what did you feel at that given moment? Like, you're finally seeing these numbers for the first time. It's like, is there a sense of elation, or what do you feel in that moment?
Honestly, there was, it has, I wouldn't call it is not sunk in. I knew about this, that we would achieve few years ago. I'll kid you not, okay? When we reached that $300 to $400 million assets under management, I think close to 500, she and me and this office was sitting down and saying that, I think we will have a plan to reach $1 billion by 2025. This is exactly the discussion both of us had. Okay, and this is 2.5, 3 years ago. We knew that would happen. And the reason why we did that is because our growth was there because we did not shift our philosophy, our commitment, our intention, how we started this business. Nothing changed. So people were just friends of friends, families of friends. They were kept coming on because that is the key reason why we are here. The trust and that the investors have given is a huge force multiplier for us to go buy properties, right? And then at that point of time, we knew that we had to set the teams correctly to go acquire the right property. So we brought in a gentleman called Scott Henner. He's a head of acquisition. Scott comes from the Glazer family office.
Okay.
You know, the guys who own Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, Scott is very well known. So we in the industry. So he had access to REITs.
Okay.
Like the properties we buy is from the REITs, like Blackstone, Kimco Realty, BlackRock. That's how we buy it from. Okay. We are kind of the mini.
So, like, why would BlackRock offload these properties? Is it because the return's not there for their liking?
Great question. When they sunset their funds, in the prospectus, they have a finite shelf life.
Got it.
It's 5 years of coupon that they give, and then they have to exit. So if in 2026 they have to exit some of those assets. So we, like Octave and likes of those institutions, are there to go look at buying them at that point of time.
So one quick question just for the audience. It's like, what is a coupon? Is that just it should be the payments, correct?
It's the payments. Payments. So BlackRock is a little different. Coupon, the dividends that they pay out.
Yeah. Okay. And it's interesting you mentioned this. Is like I'm just thinking, you have a tagline which is generational wealth starts here.
Yeah.
And at $1 billion under management, do you feel like that promise has been kept?
I believe so, and I'll tell you why. Because there are people, even though the genesis of this was for my own family, right? She had this for her own family. The intention has not changed, and I can tell you there are a lot of professionals who started with us day one. We have 99% retention of investors. The first investor is still an investor with us, okay? And that's a testament for not just what Sri and I do, but the team that has executed well. Nobody would come and stay with us if we had not performed, right? So that's the reason why we're here to $1 billion. But there are a lot of folks who make more money and the passive income in the supplemental income than their active income being with us.
That is
lot of them. Example, not gonna give names, but including doctors.
That is insane. So
if to your question, did it create financial freedom / generational wealth? For some of them,
That is phenomenal. The question that leads me into this is, how does your faith inform how you do business? And Islam, is Islam in the boardroom for you? Is it something that you keep separate? Do you integrate it? How does it integrate into the business itself?
I honestly could not have been here, with that Rahma, and what Allah has given me, and I believe in divinity, because, like I said, I never started thinking this is how it's going to play out in my life. So my family values, from my mom to my wife and all the families they have, we still have not changed ourselves. We're still the same, right? For me, from an Islamic perspective, I knew that we have an ethical framework that a Muslim should be doing business in honesty, and that's a given for us. So why I really believe that. It's kept me that as a Muslim, I got to have my ethical framework. They teach this in the MBA school, the legal and ethics principles, right? In doing law. Our Quran, our Hadith tells us this is what we need to be.
I mean, the Prophet ﷺ mentions do things with ihsan and excellence. Right? So we should be living up to this standard that's actually a beacon of hope for the rest of humanity.
Yeah, and I don't shy away showing off my faith in the boardroom or here. Everybody knows who I am. They tell me that you are grounded in faith as a leader, as an individual. So it's open. We have, but that legal framework, that ethical framework of doing business, I think is instilled in me because of my faith. It's very important for me. Okay, and being an entrepreneur and doing what I do, I think our hadiths also talk about, an honest entrepreneur has a very high level pedestal along with other sahabas and trusted leaders, and maybe the martyrs.
That's true. I think it is a weak hadith, but I think it still has something to pull out of, because it builds character. Entrepreneurship builds character, right? Because like if you do not service your clients well, then that's counterintuitive to the religion of Islam, right? So if you continue to give and give and give, then that's why you have the success. It's because you've given back to the community, and therefore in turn they've supported you to help you grow. And this is a gift from Allah, if anything.
Absolutely, alhamdulillah. And the thing is, the business I'm in, I have to have the highest, the amana that they've given me the money is the highest, because I'm a private equity fund, right? People are investing it.
Yeah.
Every dollar that I buy is a responsibility for me as well. So it's for me, the trust that the community or the investors community has given me is very important. In terms of, and also what I have has become a zaria for me to help others as well.
Of course.
And whatever I can do in the community, I try to. Okay.
This leads me into my next question here, is that Cirrus Labs has actually sponsored Missed Atlanta, which is the Muslim Interscholastic Tournament, and that's a very specific choice for a tech consulting company. What drew you to investing into the Muslim youth education space, so to speak?
We always, I think we had a lot of, and that's something I'm very proud of. Cirrus Labs, like you said, we've been sponsoring Miss for the longest period of time. But we have a pipeline of a lot of solid young graduates in our community who have done internships here and gone on to do very well successfully. And we have a summer program every year where we train them in the latest and greatest. When it was cloud, it was cloud. When it was BPM, it was BPM. Now I think there's a 3-month course for AI that people get to train to, and some of them we absorb ourselves into Cirrus Labs as full-time, and some folks have moved on. That will never change, okay? Because this is how you build. You start at the community level, and I feel that our Alpharetta, Atlanta community, Muslim community, has some solid folks who are coming out. That's why I've also started something called Friday Ventures. I don't know if you heard about it.
I've heard of Friday Ventures. I'm actively involved in it.
Okay, good. The community side, I think the venture side that I have we've opened up I have a target of a $5 million raise for that, to help entrepreneurs, either Muslim-led or Muslim-owned businesses that we will fund. And the way I've done this from an investment perspective, for the investors who come in and invest, 50% is cash flowing brick and mortar businesses, and 50% is the deep tech startups. So, but we have done like 4 or 5 investments so far, and we'll continue to do so on this end. So there are multiple ways we can do. The one thing that I'm really talking to a friend of mine, Hisham Becky, Hisham is one of my promoters in the new fund, which I talk to medical offices. He, mashallah, is successful in his zone. He has, his private equity has like $365 million worth of assets. He has medical offices more, so we are bringing that in. We always talk about how do we create capital in our community, in our Muslim community. The biggest challenge, Danielle, right now is for folks is access to capital.
I agree, 100%.
People have ideas, great ideas. Sometimes you don't need the greatest ideas. Sometimes you can replicate a successful business model and do it better and be successful as an entrepreneur, right?
100%.
But there is how do I get capital? And in the Jewish community and Aga Khani community, they have this banking systems, they have all that stuff. So they have access to capital.
Well, not just that, they also circle the capital within their own communities, right?
That's true as well. That's true as well. But the most important thing is, how do I get access to capital to really scale my business, start my business? So one of my, I would say, my next phase of vision of what I have to do is to build a whole capital ecosystem where people have access to money, to an Islamic bank. I've thought about it, but it's not that easy to establish. Buying a bank and going to setting it up, but there are some thoughts around it, some discussion. So I'm bringing some of the best heads in this in the community to create that stuff. So Stay tuned.
Of course,
Inshallah.
of course.
We'll figure it out.
All right. So you're also one of the founding members of Newer Family Services here in Georgia. It's a 501c3
Yeah.
serving domestic violence survivors, especially from immigrant and refugee communities. It's won the 2024 Moving the Work Forward Award from the Georgia Commission on Family Violence. Tell us a little bit about the story that helped why you helped start it.
See, for me, the biggest, the thought, when it started, that's when I remember that evening when somebody called me in the evening and said, hey, there's this lady standing in Walmart, and her husband had left. You believe it or not, this happens in our community. Left the lady into the Walmart and
Just left?
Just left her, okay? So I don't know what to do. So and then at the same time, one of our family friends, Sadaf, she called me, says, hey, we need to do this, we need to get this up. And the core founding members of New Hood, we had assembled, we founded, at that point in time, it was not incorporated yet, but very few members came together and kind of solved that problem, at least for that lady that day, to get her accommodation. And then the genesis of New Family Services came in back then, and that's the time I had invested in New Family Service to kick off stuff, but officially over a period of time I'm not involved much with them, but it's other than the other community service organizations that I always try to stay on the sidelines rather than be involved in them on a day-to-day operations. So I'm very proud of the fact that there's other organizations, there's a lot of refugee educational non-profits that have also helped kick off, where the kids are helping educate, teach the folks, the students in Clarkston. It's called Refugee Uplift. But these are stuff that I think it's part and parcel. Everybody does what they need to do. So I'm proud of what these guys have accomplished so far.
It's amazing. It genuinely is.
Yeah.
So both Cirrus and Octave have expanded significantly into the Middle East.
Yeah.
And Dubai offices, trade missions, UAE real estate development. Is there a cultural or personal dimension to that expansion just beyond market opportunity?
In both Cirrus Labs and Octave into Dubai, you're talking about?
Yeah, for both.
So Cirrus Labs, so my next frontier, I call it, in IT is a product company. I've done every kind of business, Daniel. I've dabbled with manufacturing in between. Heavy machinery trading that was done with and this is all past when I was trying to figure out, and I've helped people set it up, and I've moved on, and I've kicked off a lot of spin-offs of these companies. The one company that I really am now very excited and pumped about is an AI GRC platform that we created. Okay, it's a product called LockThreat.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
LockThreat. And for me and my co-founders and my partners, we feel that this is going to have a significant impact in the area of GRC and cybersecurity. So we are already, so Middle East was the go-to market for us. The go-to market for that was to start with Middle East. So we sold this to Ministry of Health Abu Dhabi. We have now sold to Masdar City, which is the biggest, largest sustainable city in Abu Dhabi. We have sold to Dubai Police right now. We just closed the deal. And there's a lot of other, in Qatar and Saudi, we are in talks with Aramco, Saudi Airlines to close it. So I'm very excited. So that's why honestly, you have to pivot, like I told you. The market has shifted as well. There's a lot of adoption in AI and cyber in the Middle East. Okay, so we just decided to move ourselves, expand our services there, but then quickly realized that in Middle East, selling service is not easy like Cirrus Labs. So we had to bring in a product first kind of mindset. So we build a product, we're selling through product, and then professional services comes later. So that's for Cirrus Labs. So as for Octave, I firmly, back in 2020s, I believed, as we're coming out of COVID, that the dollar has some serious challenges in this world, and what's happening right now. So when the BRICS countries were really focused on decoupling the petrodollar, there is a good chance that dollar falls, right? So in 2021, I wanted to hedge my bets against the dollar in any other country. So for me, of all the countries, I thought Dubai had more regulations, more stable economy, and that's why I started pivoting in investing in Dubai.
Got it.
It was my personal journey first to invest, and as soon as I found success a little bit of there, that's when we formed a fund to invest with developers like BMW in some of the projects in Al Marjan and Dubai. So we have few projects that we have invested. We are on pause, obviously, for what is happening.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident that what we have invested, our capital is preserved.
How has the current political climate and of course the climate in the Middle East affected those investments? Has it affected it at all, or is it like obviously it's now paused in terms of development? But how has that affected ultimately the entire region?
So the impact for in Dubai is real. There's no doubt in my mind how much of an impact it is. We'll find out as soon as the bombs stop falling.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be some standstill in a long period to know how has that affected the market. As I understand right now, the market, there's no sales happening. Okay, construction is ongoing. In our project itself, we are constructing. Actually, there is no disruption in supply chain of concrete, metal yet. So, and I was talking to my partner in Dubai, at least for 3 to 4 months, if we'll have enough of supply chain for construction. Okay, so we are covered there. As for the market, most of our projects are pre-sold, so we don't have the risk of selling.
Got it.
So that's why we are good. But honestly, sitting here and telling you, I don't know what exactly it's going to pan out in Dubai. Yeah, I don't think so. It's fair to say that I would know what is happening, but there's an impact that has happened. How much of an impact, is yet to be determined. But I do feel that these kind of huge, massive events eventually get out of memory, and hopefully our projects are not to be like immediate gratification, not instant gratification. Our projects yield us returns end of 2027, mid 2028, so we should be okay.
So you've built into companies in two very different industries: tech consulting, commercial real estate. Is there a common principle or a thread that drives success in both, or are they fundamentally different games, in your opinion?
It's a great question. There is obviously a difference in the business, but there's so many commonalities in any business, honestly. In terms of the revenue model, obviously two different.
Of course.
Areas of revenue, but I think in terms of operations, there's really some good commonalities in here. I feel the fundamental blocks for operations have to be in place in terms of processes in any kind of businesses. As we scale, as we have more employees coming in, people oversee some of those, I call it even the most simplest thing, HR policies. Okay, an employee handbook.
Yeah.
Okay, these are fundamental stuff that you have to have in your businesses when you start scaling. And operationally, the marketing side of things is constantly the same. If of course the different segment that you have to do is the same. But the most crucial piece, then there is people, right? People, the kind of people you hire. People say that it's crucial. It's very important. But one thing is most important is cash flow.
Yeah, 100%.
The cash flow of a business, if you can't figure out how to manage proactively in the year over year, that can get you trouble regardless what the business, be it Cirrus Labs or be it Octave. So I fundamentally believe there are very commonalities that I apply on a regular basis. And the good thing is I have both the offices in the same company, so I can meet the leadership, the people, and strategic, tactical discussions happen on a regular basis. Like I said, I'm more in Octave right now, but it's good to have Cirrus Labs on the same building as well.
Got it. You had mentioned a little bit earlier that you're shifting or you're pivoting Cirrus Labs aggressively towards AI governance and compliance consulting.
Yeah.
You now position the company as a leader, or LockThread as a leader in enterprise AI assurance. For Muslim entrepreneurs in tech, how do you think about the ethical dimensions of AI, and does faith give you a different lens in that sector?
Wow. I think from an AI perspective, what we're trying to solve for enterprises is because you're a pretty tech savvy guy. Some of the guardrails that you need to have from a data sovereignty, AI trust, okay, and AI insurance, which is like, they hallucinate, the models hallucinate. So having those accelerators is what we are focused on. Now, it is very critical for any enterprises when they go production ready AI that they have these guardrails, these blocks in place. Otherwise, it could quickly spiral out of the way, because that's why the AI governance comes in place. I can give an example. You could be a carrier, like an insurance carrier, and use AI for pricing, okay, and somehow price out or deny a claim for an insured patient. And get sued for that as well, because the AI agent did not do it correctly. Okay, so there are some ethics. There are a lot of ethical boundaries that will be tested through through this AI agentic model. So that's why we fundamentally want to preach this AI governance piece of it to all the enterprises. As for faith, honestly, I don't know if that is the shift in this whole world, and if that happens where everybody gets displaced because the AI work is going to create a lot of challenges for them. I do feel there are areas that you have to pivot, and I'm trying to help in that sense. The F&B business, the food and beverage business, the coffee shops, intimately how we're talking about. We've spoken about this as well. I believe there are some areas like F&B experiential businesses that people can find some growth or some opportunity.
Yeah, because it's AI. It's in some ways it's AI agnostic, right?
Yeah, it's hard AI to replace. You still, as a family, on the weekends would like to go experience this thing. Even you become humanoid, robotic kind of like in your day-to-day life, experiences is what you would vie for, right? And I think that's a chance. So in my sense, we are trying to fund some of these projects for young entrepreneurs who are trying to, young, and I would say in one case old, senior entrepreneurs, also to open up businesses.
Well, fair enough. And this leads me into my next question. If a young Muslim professional, or a Muslim professional just in general, came to you today and said, I want to start a company, but I have no capital, no network, what would you tell them to do in their first 90 days?
Yeah, you got to start. I would say invest in yourself in skills, right? And learn in skills that are in line with what you're thinking. Because without an idea, without what you're trying to do, there is no business. But if you want to open a business, you got to have a business plan.
That's true.
Okay? So because you don't have any of this thing, go use Claude, go use any agent, come up with a business plan of what you want to do, because you can get some of this without a business plan that gives you some path of how to do it. I would say put some time and effort in creating a business plan, and also training and upskilling yourself in some of those lines, in the line that you're trying to go to business. I would definitely do that if you're a clean slate.
Got it. So you serve on the advisory board of the U.S. India Policy Institute. What does that work look like? What do you wish more South Asian and Muslim entrepreneurs understood about engaging with policy?
Well, man, that's very critical. I think I'm not engaged enough, okay? And advocacy for Indian Americans and Muslims in general, we all sit on the sidelines and crib about what's happening to the Muslim Ummah. Sadly. But there are some very smart guys in our community who are doing something about it. Most of us are very, have apathy towards that and don't. So Indian American advocacies to multiple organizations that I've been associated with it, because I was on the board of Indian American IT Professionals as well. So I believe in that. I believe because I've seen success going in front of senators and congressmen, congresswomen, and shifting their policies on immigration. This is specifically on H1 through this advocacy group, right? So it's very critical for me to understand. But as of today, I would encourage, not everybody can run for positions, but at least they can advocate and be part of it. We don't really have a central good Muslim advocacy group. CARE is not one. CARE is in a different sphere. Just like APAC have their own acts, they have together. I don't think so. We need to have a national level super PAC and PAC at regional level. There are some folks trying. I know there's a Peace Tree Coalition here in Georgia.
Voices of Muslims, I think, is one, or trying
Voices of Muslims is, I don't know how much of an advocacy they do there. They do support the candidates and all this stuff. But Peace Tree Coalition is one I know that does that. Munir is one guy. Me and my friends kind of work on this to support them. But there's no coherent, cohesive team, and that's the need of the hour for sure.
You have 3 kids growing up in Alpharetta.
Yeah.
When they look at what their dad has built, what do you want them to understand about why you did what you did?
I think they do realize a little bit now, but they never did before. Ryan is 21 and neuroscience, and Ryan is such a great kid. I never gave them insight of everything of what's happening in the business side. But as they have come to know what it is, I asked Ryan that, hey, do you want to quit your pre-med track and just come over and just work for me? He's absolutely, vehemently no, absolutely, because this kid is so good. He knows he wants to serve the people, because people have discouraged him to be a doctor. He's trying to be a doctor. So I say that there's no money in being a doctor, and he clearly knows it's not about doctor. He just wants to be a doctor. And he's done so many voluntary projects, and because that's instilled in him, he wants to serve the people, which is great. Rida, my younger daughter, my middle daughter, she is an industrial engineer in Georgia Tech. She's a little street smart. She would probably look at at some point of time coming in, but they have realized that this is all done. And family is most important for me, and for them, we never talk so much of business and in my house. Really, honestly, that's why we never talk about this so much. But I'm sure knowing that they have some kind of nest egg comforts them. At least my son, he's going to do a medical. He has to pay for all the tuition in the medical college.
So you've been doing this for approximately nearly 30 years, from database consultant in 1997 to a chairman overseeing $1 billion portfolio in 2026. What do you now know that you wish you could tell the version of yourself who first landed in America?
What would I have told that person? I don't know if I would have changed my story. I don't know if I could ever have changed my story. The only thing I think I could have done different, and I really feel this, is in those years, my mother died in 2009. And I think I saw her maybe just 5-6 times in that period. That's, don't call it regret, but if I had wished, I knew this is the journey where I was going to be so bogged down with everything, and I wished I could have kept my mother with me day one, as much as possible. I visited her back home more often, because I think that is one thing that I would have shifted as I come along, to keep but my dad stays with me, right? After my mom's passing away, he's with me. I take care of him, which for me is, I'm very fortunate to have at least a parent with me.
Got it.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I can think of.
So where can people find you on social media if they want to learn more about Cirrus Labs, Octave, or anything else that you're doing? Where should they go?
I have an Instagram handle. I do have a Facebook. I do have a LinkedIn. But to your point, I should have probably leveraged more of the social media to my benefit. Maybe Danielle, you can help me shift that a little bit going forward.
Sure, we can make that happen. I guess so. Final question I got here is: do you have any interesting future endeavors that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Like I said, I've done it all mostly in business. One of the things that I kind of alluded to some of them, I am opening that Friday Ventures to help Muslim entrepreneurs. I am going to look at a capital markets for helping Muslim, and this is going to be a bigger play. This is where I would like to help create an ecosystem for Muslims, business people to thrive and have access to capital. In terms of my own personal business, I'm really looking for Lockthread to exit at a very high multiple in a couple of $1 billion. And I think we're on the path to try to do that.
Okay. And also, if the audience wants to invest in Octave, they can. I'm going to put the links down in the description below, so then that way you can have an additional audience to come invest in any of the medical funds or medical offices, as well as commercial real estate as well.
Yeah, even if you guys, if folks are not savvy enough or are very sophisticated in real estate, there's an always on. Please come and talk to me, okay? So that we can, I can understand. You know what? Everybody has their own goals in terms of where they want to be in financial freedom, right? But if you want sophisticated institutional great investment opportunity, this is a platform. You can come talk to me. If you are not sure or would like to talk and discuss what that means for you investing with us, please come to talk. If you're a savvy real estate investor with a lot of investments, let's talk ideas and figure out what we can do together. So I'm open.
Okay.
And octavehi.com is the site that you're going to post. And of course, I'm accessible.
Well, thank you so much, Zia. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed this pod.
Thank you so much.